Hey everyone, 10 Tampa Bay, Shannon Clow here, and right now I am in Northport outside the home of Brian Laundrie once again tonight. I want to get you up to speed on everything we have learned from the morning, day, and now into the night hours. So what I can tell you is the search for Brian Laundrie is continuing with Northport Police, the FBI, and a bunch of other agencies now helping them out over in Venice at the Carlton Reserve. So we know by now there is a lot of land out there to cover. New today, we have heard that a dive team now involved in the search out there. So the media contact for the Northport Police Department says this doesn't mean anything specific other than we're just trying to cover all of the ground we can cover up to this point. So a dive team now involved, and you also have to just think about the land out there. It's a wooded area, there are gators and snakes and all of those challenges for investigators. So we have to think about that when they do send dive teams out there. They have to be very strategic and careful when they're searching for Brian Laundrie. I can also tell you in the search efforts, unfortunately today, there's no new information. Nothing was found today on the ground, but I can tell you their search is going to continue even with it being so dark out. They can use specific technology to look from up above just to keep an eye on that area and see if they spot anything unusual or something that sticks out. So that's something investigators will continue to do even into the night and the early morning hours. So of course we have a crew who will be out here and they will keep a close eye just to see if anything comes about that. But here at Brian Laundrie's home, I can tell you right here behind me, I know a bunch of you were just looking at it, not the most exciting shot and really not the most exciting day out here either. We have not seen his family leave their home. Unlike yesterday afternoon, our crew did see Brian Laundrie's dad go to the store and come back with milk. Today, there has been no movement at the house here, so nothing new developing out here at the house, but of course we are out here keeping a close eye on everything. And just some more details we're getting today that's new is by now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that 911 call out of Moab, Utah. So what we're learning new about this is that 911 caller actually not listed in the police report that we originally got from the Moab Police Department. So what this tells us, long story short, is there were two witnesses leading up to that body cam footage where we saw Gabby crying and we kind of saw Brian talking with detectives. To my understanding, when I watched it, he looked rather calm. He was laughing with law enforcement in the video, whereas we saw Gabby clearly shaken up in that video. She was crying. So the incident leading up to that, what we know up to this point is there was someone who was driving by the couple. They originally called 911. They called dispatch, and that's the 911 audio that a lot of you probably heard by now, where this caller says he saw Brian slap Gabby. Now what we're learning is the person listed in the report who says they're not exactly sure what they saw, but they did see a couple fight over a phone. That's a different person. So it's interesting to now learn that there are two witnesses. Our questions here were in the police report, we didn't see any kind of verbatim or interview with that original 911 caller. People asking the question as to why. We did see the person who was at the Moonflower in that area. They were interviewed after the fact, but they were kind of saying they weren't exactly sure what they saw, but they thought it was odd. Whereas that 911 caller who was driving by said he saw the gentleman, I quote, slap the girl. So that was the exact quote from the 911 audio. So interesting to now learn that we do have two witnesses up to that incident and that body cam footage. I'm sure once you see it, you really can't unsee it. So the search for Brian Laundrie is continuing throughout the night. And the ground search, we know up to this point, has ended for the night, but it will continue and pick back up tomorrow morning. As far as we know, up to this point, nothing of note has been found in the search efforts in the Carlton Reserve. But of course, we're keeping a very close eye on that, and we're talking with investigators, telling them any new information. Of course, we know all of you are very interested in knowing. A big question we're getting here at the Laundrie home is, well, why weren't his parents, charged with anything? Why wasn't Brian arrested right away? Why is he still a person of interest? We actually had one of our reporters, Malik Rankin, work on that story today. We have a full, complete web script up on our website right now, 10tampabay.com, and it's interesting. She interviewed someone who used to be in law enforcement, and he explained to her that Yes, right now, to our knowledge, Brian Laundrie is a person of interest in what's now a homicide investigation, which is a criminal investigation. People are asking, why is he not a suspect? Well, this former law enforcement was telling us that maybe police are looking at him as a suspect and we just don't know it. That's just not released to the public. That could be a possibility. And for those who were asking, well, why didn't they arrest him right away? This law enforcement officer telling us to arrest someone and to name them a suspect, you need to have one, evidence, and two, probable cause. So up to that point, to his eyes, law enforcement just didn't have that evidence. They did not know that. We now know Gabby has been confirmed dead, that they found her body out in Wyoming. So that was information they just didn't have then. So it will be interesting to see as this criminal investigation now progresses, the search for Brian Laundrie continues, if we will see down the line anyone named a suspect. So of course 10 Tampa Bay is keeping a very close eye. I do want to let all of you know the story I worked on tonight concentrated at the memorial, which is at Northport City Hall. So if you do want to watch that and hear just really heartfelt emotion from people who live in Northport and the surrounding areas, going out there, putting letters and pictures and stuffed animals, and I mean, people just going there to pray. We saw many people tonight just crying. I can tell you, the people were coming out there and they were like, I'm surprised there's not a huge crowd out here. That's not the feel for the memorial today. What we noticed was people were coming by, it was silent there, people were praying, people were crying, and then they were leaving. So if you want a look at that memorial, you can watch 10 Tampa Bay at 11 o'clock tonight, that show coming up, and we will recap everything we know up to this point and go in depth, go beyond those headlines to give you a good explanation of why things stand the way they are and the questions we are asking investigators. Again, 10 Tampa Bay tonight at 11 o'clock.